We do sponsor Neven's English food tour too. The gas part is only part of it.
Hello and welcome to Newcastle, which is the oldest building here in the city. Now, I've had the pleasure of doing food tours in Italy, Portugal, Spain and of course Ireland, but this is my first time doing one in England. And I've visited Manchester and London many times, but I'm visiting an area which I haven't been to before. I'm starting my food tour in the northeast of England, and it's an area I'm really looking forward to exploring and seeing what's on offer. David, thank you so much for having me here. I was told this was the best view in Newcastle, and look at this, it's spectacular.
I mean, the views are pretty much unmatched. I mean, that's why this is built here, you know, it's the sort of strategic spot where you build a castle. The building we're stood on is 847 years old, and it's the main tower of the new castle, which is what gives the city its name. And it's really to look out over the rebellious northerners. So just over the way there in Gateshead, the little church was the scene, one of William the Conqueror's, his Bishop of Durham was murdered there, and he sends his son up to build a big castle to stop the rebellious northerners from causing too much bother. One of the interesting things about where we're stood is this is one of the parts of the castle that was restored back in the 1800s. So the turrets that you see up were stuck on in the very early 1800s. They sort of found this castle, you know, in the middle of their town and thought, oh, it doesn't really look very castle-y though, does it? Needs some nice turrets. So they stuck some big turrets on the top, these kind of battlements, to make it look a bit more
I know.
Like a proper castle.
And it does, doesn't it?
It does. It gives it a certain something, doesn't it?
And you can go up there and just look out even.
You can. You get a fantastic view from those out over the city.
And how many steps do you have to walk up from top to bottom here?
So top to bottom, it's 137 steps up those spiral stairs.
God bless your fitness.
Calves of steel.
Talk to me about the bridges here.
So yes, I mean, we love a bridge in Newcastle. As you can see, there's like 7 over the time, like within a very short space. But yeah, you've got the Gateshead Millennium Bridge over there. It's the newest one. The Tyne Bridge, I mean, this is kind of iconic. You know, this is what people think of when they think of Newcastle. That's built in 1928, and it's one of the first bridges in the world designed by a woman. And she designed this and the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Very impressive, isn't it? It's just beautiful.
It's a lovely bit of work, isn't it? And then, yeah, you've got the Swing Bridge, so like beautiful bit of Victorian engineering there, which was to allow ships to come up and down the Tyne. And then moving over, you've got like the High Level Bridge, and then the various metro bridges and road bridges going over that are more modern as well. So.
And it seems a busy part of the city. You can hear the trains coming and going where we are.
Absolutely. So in the 1830s, when they're building this, they literally drive the railway line through the middle of the castle. They demolish a lot of the walls and carry the railway viaduct all the way through. So the railway, the central station over there is a beautiful bit of Victorian engineering. That's a Victorian train station. It's grade 1 listed. And that used to be the largest railway crossing in the world.
David, thank you so much for your time, your wealth of knowledge, and I'm looking forward to exploring the city.
I hope you have a great time looking around.
I'm going to meet a hero of mine, Terry Laybourne. Terry is a chef and restaurateur who's been hugely influential in transforming Newcastle into a culinary and cultural destination. Terry, I have to say it's an honour to meet you, because from a young chef I always followed you and I always admired what you did. So thank you so much for having me here in your beautiful pub. Coming in the door, I noticed the statement, proper pub, proper beer and proper food.
Indeed.
So what, in your definition, is a proper pub?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's not a restaurant that masquerades as a pub, of which there are quite a few these days. I think a proper pub's got to have a bar. Potentially has to have a snug as well, like we have here. And whether or not it has a dining room, I think is academic. But it's the bar and the snug that really make a pub for me.
Tell me about the building and the history of it. Like, how long has it been a pub here?
Well, believe it or not, not so very long. It's been a pub for 11 years.
Okay.
We inherited a redundant cafe and it belongs to the theatre next door, a small fringe theatre, a creative outlet. And together we created the pub, you know, from the ground up.
That's brilliant. And the name is very unique, isn't it?
It is. I mean, the name has reference to the address, in fact. The street that it's on is the Broad Chair. A chair is a break in the city walls, generally a narrow break that people could walk through. But every city wall had a broad chair or several broad chairs, which was wide enough for a cart.
Because you're born and bred from here, aren't you?
Pretty much, 6 miles west.
Wow. You were the first to get the Michelin star. You've won so many different awards. And then recently the Freedom of the City. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Don't be modest. Tell me, who else got that? Not very many people.
Oh, generally men of learning and men of medicine. And here was I, a lowly cook. So it was a humbling experience, I have to say.
But I think it's what you've done for hospitality. I mean, like, I've spoke to many chefs and they all say you were the start of the whole food scene here in Newcastle. So you're being very modest, I think.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I'll take it. I'll take
you
it.
should.
I'll take it.
Talking about food, you have an amazing display here of food. Talk to me about some of the products we have here.
Well, starting from this side, we have monkfish cheeks, an unusual cut that we breadcrumb and deep fry and serve with tartar sauce. There's a pork pie that we make ourselves from middle white pork.
And you're famous for your pie here, aren't you? Your pies.
We are, indeed.
Okay.
We set up a Scotch egg, which again is produced very traditionally. There's a percentage of haggis, crispy pig's ears.
This isn't here.
It is what it is. It's a pig's ear that we shave and soak and brine and then cook very, very slowly in a bouillon.
Very soft and delicious.
Very
soft.
crispy.
Crispy.
Yeah. And then pork crackling itself. The crackling comes from a Gloucester old spot. We found that does the best result for us in a Bramley apple sauce.
The apple sauce
Some
on the
pickled
side.
vegetables.
Beautiful. These are local oysters.
Lindisfarne, just up the coast in Northumberland.
And what have you here?
Cauliflower fritters.
So there's something here for everyone.
We like to think so, yeah.
So Terry, that's the food offering. Now I know Newcastle is very famous for its brown pale. Tell me about that.
Well, there's a bottle over here.
There.
The blue star there is something of an emblem in the city, you know. You see it all over the place. It's something that's never been produced on draft, always in a bottle, would always be served with a glass on top that's referred to as a schooner.
And what is the difference between an ale and a lager?
Okay, so an ale is a much more traditional process. It's produced with a different yeast to lager. It's a yeast that ferments from the top, so it floats and works downwards. It's a live product. It's essentially quite challenging to manage. And then it's poured through these hand pulls, and it's effectively pulled through via hydraulics.
And is this only found like in Newcastle, these ales, yeah?
These are all pretty local,
Yeah.
yes, indeed. The writer's block is our own. We had that developed in response to the pork pie. We developed the pork pie recipe first, but of course it's quite rich and it's quite fatty.
Yeah.
So I needed something with some cleanliness and some bitterness, I felt, in order to offset that, you know.
It's been an absolute privilege to meet you and wish you good health and continued success, Terry.
Thank you, Evan.
Will we get stuck in?
Oh,
Come on,
I think
I'm going to
we
go for
must.
another crispy pig here. So this is the dining room above the pub, and I can really see what Terry meant by proper food. Look at this. This is absolutely glorious. So looking forward to tasting this. So I went into the kitchen. I was watching Dan cook some beautiful calf's liver, really thinly sliced, seasoned it with a little bit of salt, pepper, and then really good hot oil, and finished it with butter. And it cooks so quickly, so it's really, really soft, tender, and full of flavour. And then with the kale. Kale is a beautiful vegetable. In some boiling salted water to blanch it, just to cook it quickly, start the cooking process, finish it with an emulsion of butter, so it gives a lovely taste and kind of shines the cabbage, and then some buttery mash, and then crispy streaky bacon. Look at that, like it's wafer thin, lovely and crispy, and that's going to give so much flavour. And what he did here was some crispy shallots, these tiny little shallots. Sage is a classic herb with the liver, and then to finish it off, he made a beautiful veal jus, finished it with a touch of rosemary and thyme, and look at that. It's, I mean, like, what I see here is a generous plate of food using the very best of ingredients. As I say, you need to cook liver really, really quickly. That's so beautiful. There's loads of lovely butter in that mash. So now we have our pork pie that he's very particular where he sources the pork, which is, of course, a local farm, he said, just literally across the river. This is the local ale, the writer's block. So I'm going to taste this first. It's very light. There's lovely acidity in that. It's a really good ale to work with food, so it is, because the pork pie is nice and rich. And of course the Scotch egg, which is here, and not an easy dish to make. You know, doing your eggs, having it lovely and soft, and you see that there. It's kind of like a sausage farce, like a mousse with some haggis. That is superb. Beautifully seasoned, lovely crust from the crumbs. Also the technique of keeping the egg yolk, if you can see that nice and soft, that is beautiful. You know, I've had such a great afternoon meeting one of my food heroes, Terry, what he's done here, particularly in Newcastle with the whole food scene. It's been an absolute privilege meeting him, and I wish him and the team continued success.
We do sponsor this show, too. We do sponsor this show, too.
This is St James's Park, the home of Newcastle United. Now, I was hoping to get a stadium tour here, but they have a big Premiership game tomorrow, and there's no access into the stadium 24 hours before the game. But I do have something very special for you. I'm going to be chatting to Colin Young, who wrote Jack Charlton's biography. Colin, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming along. I have to ask you firstly, how did you get to write Jack Charlton's biography?
I got to know Jack through covering the Republic of Ireland for a couple of English newspapers for about 20 years. And at the start of that kind of career, Jack and I used to travel on the same flight into Dublin. And just over that period, we got to know each other really well. I got to know his son, John. And during that, got talking about the fact that the original autobiography, Peter Byrne, the family couldn't get it republished at that point. So we kind of had a discussion and just decided, well, why don't we do the book again, kind of thing. Well, I think it took about 6 months in the end, going up to John's pub up on the coast in Northumberland, and just spending a few hours with Jack and his wife Pat and John and the grandkids, and it was just brilliant, you know, just telling the old stories. And the stories were so unique and so Jack, you know, so you'd have someone like John Aldrich or Niall Quinn could just remember specific dates. All these things are just imprinted in, you know, big professional footballers' memories. And Jack had that effect on his players, on his teammates and the public.
But I think coming over here, like the people I've met, very similar to Irish people, humble, warm, honest, good fun. Yeah. That's it. Jack loved that.
I mean, that to me was always why, and I'm sure it was to Jack, why they hit it off together. You know, you can see so much of the Geordie in the Irish people. The mid-80s, obviously, it was a difficult time politically for Ireland. And it was a difficult time in terms of the kind of opposition that there was between English and Irish. You know, there was a massive chasm, wasn't there?
There was
between
big divide.
The two, massive. Yeah. To the extent where obviously when the appointment was made, it wasn't universally popular, and that wasn't just down to the fact that Jack had a certain style of football, which actually turned out to be very, very productive in international football with Ireland, but also that he was a Protestant 1966 World Cup winning centre-back, you know, so, but he overcame that just by being himself.
But he must have had a great way with him with the Irish team, the way he bonded them all, and there was great unity, wasn't there? Like they'd run through a brick wall for Jack.
Yeah. What Jack did, I think, which was really, really important, was he just created a club environment within the Ireland squad, and I think he just realised that if you're going to get these guys to come over and give the best way to do it was to make it an open, fun kind of environment where actually, if you wanted to have a pint the night before a game, or if you wanted to have 2 pints 2 nights before the game,
that was okay.
That was not a problem.
Like when you think his Leeds United career, like one club, all his career, like that never happens now.
You're right, he was a one-club man, very loyal. I don't think we will see many players that will be as loyal or long-serving at one club as Jack was.
And I know another passion of his was fly fishing. He was an expert, wasn't he? Coming over to Ireland, to Ballina, he used to come over.
The fishing was just as attractive to the football for him. And you know, he bought the place in Ballina, and I think it's pretty well known that on some international occasions, the trip to Ireland and the match would be worked around the fishing, or, you know, he'd be playing Norway at Lansdowne on the Wednesday night, and first thing Thursday morning he's in the river at Ballina. So it always helps if you're winning, if you're a football manager.
Good point.
If he had been unsuccessful, he hadn't been the first manager to take them to the Euros and the World Cup, then the narrative would be different, wouldn't it?
And of course, they made a song, put them under pressure.
Yeah, there's a few songs that
I'd say there is.
Yeah. But that was always one of those in the old days at Lansdowne in the wooden stands and that. When that came on the public address system, it was there was always a little bit of a tingly moment. That was it's such a great iconic tuned song.
Well, can I tell you my claim to fame? I met him in 2009.
Okay.
So I was invited to an afternoon tea. I was having me cup of tea and a wee scone, and he was having his pint of Guinness, and I was in a local football club about half an hour from me, and he was just an absolute gentleman.
Well,
big, tall man, but made time for everyone. That's what I loved about him.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I mean, that was him. He was just down to earth and just a normal bloke who just happened to be very, very good at managing football teams and drinking Guinness, because I bet he didn't pay for that pint, did he?
Well, I hope he didn't. Colin, absolute pleasure to meet you, and the book is a great read. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Just a short walk away from the city centre is an area called Shieldfield, which perhaps hasn't enjoyed the same increase of prosperity as other neighbourhoods. I'm meeting Andy Hatton, a baker who realised that establishing a community bakery here could have a really powerful and positive social impact. The Big River Bakery is renowned for making a bread known as the Stotty, a Newcastle speciality which I've never tasted before. Andy, it's a real pleasure to meet you. I've read so much about your community enterprise. It's a fascinating story.
Thanks very much. Yeah, well, it's 13 years in, 6 years in this site here, and it's grown from just a very small idea. And the Stotty has been a really instrumental part of our growth.
So Andy, whereabouts are we in the city?
We're not far from the centre of town. It's like a 10-minute walk to right the middle of the city. But it's an area called Shieldfield, a bit of a passed over place where not much investments happened for a long time. The shops here a lot of them were derelict. How can we do something here that'll bring people here and bring some positivity in a community where not a lot happens?
Now, you have an amazing enterprise here in a bakery. Tell me about the whole journey.
So the idea of healthy, local food, affordable, sustainable for everyone, not just for the affluent. Because often your artisan word I don't really like, but an artisan bakery would cost more. So we wanted to come up with a way that could work for a local community. So putting the bakery in a community that isn't affluent was part of it. It's a bit of a hub we've created here, a hub of something a little more kind than a lot of traditional businesses are. There isn't any shareholders driving it. It's about social good, environmental good, and yeah, making some product people can afford and like.
And then you employ local people too.
Yeah, quite a few. We've got bakers and front of house staff that just walk across the road to the bakery. Yeah, we've brought in people who are like on the neurodiverse spectrum. So they've come in and become bakers and other roles here. And they would maybe not have had a job, maybe ever. So that's quite a powerful thing to have done as well.
No, I've never heard of this. Stotty, is that what you call it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not quite clear where it came from, but some say, stot it off the ground. If it bounces on the ground, then you've got a stotty, it's right. Because it should be a bit chewy, a bit textured, have a feel. And then you've got the hole in the middle, which is key, because that's what would happen if that went in the oven. It would peak like any bread would, it would rise. So the hole stops that happening, so you stay with a flat round loaf. It came about, all those coal mining, industrial, shipbuilding, homes with a hearth at home. You've got some scraps. So while the big loaves are going to be proving, take longer, take the scraps, flatten them, and so you'll get something to eat for that big hungry family really quickly.
What would you normally serve at it?
The Northeast classic is ham and peas pudding stotty sandwich. So what's peas pudding? This is it here for you to try. So the Geordie hummus, as you'd call it.
I have never had this.
So traditionally, you take the stock from the ham and it's yellow split peas, seasoning. It takes quite a while to boil down to that. That's a veggie version we use, so everyone can have it.
It's delicious.
Yeah, and I like it hot actually.
I've seen it in different menus and recipes, but I've never had it before.
Yes. The ham and peas pudding stotty sarnies are piled up in here in the morning because there's a lot of takers for that.
Andy, that was really fascinating. I want to wish you and your team continued success. Thanks for having me here.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.
Sean, you're going to show me how to make the very famous stotty bread.
Yep.
Take it away.
Right, so in here we have got some oat milk, fresh water, and we've got a vegetable oil. Just mix the whole lot together. So the next thing we're going to add is our fresh yeast. This is what they use in all the breweries. And then last but not least, we're going to use a teaspoon of sugar. The yeast is going to start eating that sugar now, and that's going to create the carbon dioxide, which is going to make the bread rise.
Lovely.
So next step is going to take all your liquids straight in there, and then we are going to add a teaspoon of salt, and the salt is in there purely for taste.
God, that's coming together nicely.
Yep, so
Lovely.
that's all in there together now. And all we're going to do is start what we call kneading the bread. So you use the sole of your hand and you're stretching the bread all the time, and that's going to develop the protein, the gluten what's in there. It's also going to get warmer as well, the friction off your hands, so that's going to speed it up.
How many of these would you make a day now?
Including the mini ones, we can do up to 450, 500 sometimes, and it's all by hand.
How do you know when it's ready? Because it looks really nice and smooth.
Yeah, you can tell by the temperature, you can tell by how silky the dough is as well. It always comes up like really silky, so that's when you know it's all working.
That looks great. Ready?
Yeah, that's done. All done. Ready. So the next stage is we will put in a prover. So that'll go in the prover for about 20 minutes. That'll double in size.
Like we're here?
Yep.
Fantastic.
And that's what it looks like after 20 minutes.
God. It's really risen, isn't it?
Yep. And that's just with the addition of that teaspoon of sugar. We're now going to divide it and shape it.
Yeah.
You okay having a go?
Yeah, of course. You show me. Absolutely.
The easiest way.
Go on. Tear. Okay. And then just like that. Tear it like that.
That's it. You're just going to bring it all in.
Oh, wow.
And then when you flip it over, it'll be nice and smooth on the other side.
Okay. Is there something very therapeutic about making bread?
There is.
You know.
We're just going to put these on a baking tray, and then we're going to put it back in the prover for 10 minutes.
It's a long process, isn't it? And you have some done here.
Yep.
So I'll bring these over. So this is what they look like after 10 minutes. Lovely.
So now you've taken all that time and effort.
Oh, you pressed it down. It feels a shame to do that.
It does, and everyone gets really worried that you're going to damage them.
I know.
You're not. There's
really
enough activity left in that yeast.
Okay.
Where we're going to put them back in the prover and they'll come up again.
Oh, this goes back in again?
Yep, they'll go back in again.
All right, good man. Any particular shelf or anything?
Just top shelf.
Top shelf, lovely. Okay. Oh, they look great.
Are now ready to go. You can see that there's still yeast in there and they're still bubbling up away. Lightly dust them with flour, and then the last thing, put the hole in, which is quite satisfying. Everyone seems to like doing that for some reason.
Of course they do. After being in a very hot oven for 7 minutes, the stoddies are taken out and turned upside down and baked for another 5 minutes or so to ensure they are evenly baked with a firm crust and a soft texture inside. Do you know, that was really very special, seeing what Andy and the team have done here, helping local communities, teaching young people how to bake. It's the greatest gift we can give our children, showing how bread is made. Like, it's something very, very special about that. And I hope for people at home that you'll get some inspiration and we can do something like that in our own communities. In the next episode, I'll be heading to Northumberland's stunning coast and one of its most famous landmarks, Banbury Castle. There's plenty of good food in this picturesque town, including local lobster in a pet-friendly restaurant. And just down the coast, I'll see how herring are turned into delicious, traditionally smoked kippers. And a trip in a vintage motorcycle sidecar brings me to the beautiful village of Walkworth for even more great food. I hope you'll join me.
We do sponsor Neven's English food tour too. The gas part is only part of it.